Hey, good morning. I have started us hopefully on our Facebook Live this morning. Happy Monday to everyone. Good morning, Adrian.
Good
I
morning.
am, I had somebody request they had trouble with the link, so I'm going to look to see if I can share that. They don't have access. Let's see if I can do that here. You know what? Let me go back over here.
What pages are we on?
Just one moment. Hello, I'm back. We are on pages 61 of the one thing, and we are talking about the lies, and we discussed about the 66-day habit. So I don't know how many of you found your 66-day habit form online. You can go to theonething.com, and it's the number one, not ONE. And so on that, you can log in. There's a lot of resources. There's some podcasts, there's a group there, and there's forms and things. There's goal setting tools that you can use. And one is the 66-day challenge form. And that is simply for you to be able to track what the one thing habit is that you're surrounding yourself around. And that might be about your health. It might be about your business. It could be about a relationship. So what is the one thing you're focusing on that you're creating a habit around? So I want to say that last week, mine is working out 3 days a week. So my one thing, my 66-day challenge is going to look like this, the one week, 1, 2, 3 times, right? And when I don't do that, then I'm resetting because I want the habit to be that I do that 3 times a week. So I was able to check that off for last week. And I know some of you are using the form, and I look forward to hearing how you're doing. If you don't have a form and you want one, then just type it in the chat and I'll get that out to you. But we're going to talk about willpower is on will call. And I don't know if all of you know what will call means. Like my uncle took me to Kings Island amusement park one time, and he had tickets from the company, and we went to the will call desk, and we just were able to grab those, right? We were able to get the tickets. We didn't have to stand in a big line. It made it kind of Instacart-ish, right? And we feel like isn't our society set up now, especially after COVID, for instant? We get things when we want them. We do, and we're used to that. We're used to that drive-through experience. So, but willpower is not on will call. So having the willpower to get things done, especially if there's something that is a challenge for a habit that you're working on creating, you have to be, mindful about that. So, see, weak willpower actually is when he asked his crew to bind him to the mast while sailing by the seductive sirens. Patricia Cohen was talking about that. Odysseus is, he knew he wasn't going to be able to resist when they went by. So, I mean, the sirens were very powerful, and that's why he did that. But it may be something else for you that you can't, that you get off task, and you might need to find out about your willpower and what it's like. And it's like the rock in the hard place and being intentional. And it might be even just getting up out of the bed in the morning. And when do you have the highest battery of what you need to get done? Now, we know in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, it talks about this, because remember, that was the book that Gary wrote before this, right? So there's some things that look familiar, and that would be the energy plan of getting up in the morning when your battery is high and doing the things you need to get done. That top 20% that we were talking about, that one thing that if by doing the one thing, that makes everything else unnecessary or easier. So one of the things that I liked, and that this experience, that if you've taken Bold, I've seen a video about, is that the kiddos that have the marshmallow experience. And I don't know if any of you've seen that. It's very interesting. And I know that I've seen a couple of different videos around that where they were testing someone at a young age, a toddler, around their willpower is to not eat the treat that's in front of them. And so they put one in a room, and they had, the cookie or the marshmallow on the table. And they were like, if you don't eat this, I'm going to go out of the room and I'm coming back in 15 minutes. Stay right there. Don't eat the marshmallow. And if you don't eat it, that when I come back, you'll get another one. You'll have 2 marshmallows. Right. So it's very comical and also so true to real life. Some of the toddlers were able to hold on and not eat that, knowing that later on there's going to be a reward. But some of them bent down and were like sniffing the marshmallow, licking the top of it, kind of like, I really want to eat that. And gosh, I want that so bad. And I'm gonna hold my course, and I'm gonna be intentional. I'm gonna hold on to that willpower. And some of them just like, you know what, I'm eating this right now, and eating the marshmallows. So they were looking at how our DNA was, is how strong are you, when it comes to getting what you need to do, and the end goal, when it becomes hard, when you're stressed, when your battery is low, when you're tired, do we give in? Do we say, you know what, whatever, I'll do that tomorrow. I'll get that done later. What do you guys think? Adrian, do you suffer any level of willpower when you try to be willpower on will call? How does that look for you in your daily?
Well, I mean, I would love to say that I do really good, but I know there's certain things that I need to accomplish. And so I guess as far as work and real estate goes, I'm trying to be more intentional. I'm very good about my time blocking, for instance, but staying focused and on task. I've allowed outside influences to take over my time. So I've done good in the past, but I'm trying to address the things that have distracted me, and knowing that my one thing is to stick to my calendar in the mornings to get my one thing done. I do pretty good, but I'm certainly not perfect at it. So.
Well, it's progress, not perfection, right? Where none of us are perfect. And I know you really work at it. I mean, you have a lot of things on your calendar, and you look and you go back through and you analyze those, and you're looking at places where you needed to improve, and you've tracked it. And I know that you can't manage what you don't measure. And I know that you track the things that you're doing, and that you're in some other accountability groups as well around that. So I think that, recognizing that we can't just grab willpower when we want it. The other night, speaking of my 66-day challenge, I had one. I knew I was doing it 3 times a week. I had one left, right, to check my box. And I was like, okay, you know what? I know I could go tonight. I'm tired. It's after work. But sometimes I'm not great in the morning. Like, I'm not the morning, let me jump out of bed at 5 a.m. When I do that, I feel really good when I do. And it's not the easiest thing. So I said, okay, well, I can go in the morning. I can go in the morning and do the 6 o'clock class. And I started, okay, when am I the most likely to do that? Am I really being honest? Am I gonna do it? Or should I just go ahead and do it now? So I went and did it then. And I was glad I did, because putting it off, I may have said, oh, I don't want to get up and do that. So I think that you have to look at when your battery is high, and when will you do that? He said that during the marshmallow experiment, he looked, this was like in the 60s and 70s when they did this experiment, and tracking the same people over time. And then he did that over the next 30 plus years. And they published numerous papers on how the high delayers fared better. Those little kiddos that were able to not eat the marshmallow did better later on in life. And good things come to those who wait. Who's ever heard that one from somebody? Right? Wasn't kidding. So willpower is important, and that using it effectively should be a high priority, but it's not on will call. So it's not impossible, but we can't just summons it up all the time. So it's like better use is required to manage it, just as like the early bird gets the worm and make hay while the sun shines. Willpower is a timing issue. So, and your battery life. I think one of the things that I appreciated was this graph over here is very powerful. That it talks about the parole officers and the parolees. And if you're ever in jail, then you need to recognize this.
Don't get in jail.
Don't get in jail, but there is a plan when you get out to make sure that you're at the top of the list and not during like where they're about to go to lunch or at the end of the day, because you are most likely to be paroled if they listened to you when they had high battery life, right? So if you got there at the morning break, the people toward the morning break, no, they were tired. So they weren't as focused. And, that doesn't seem very fair, does it? However, the research shows that you're more likely to be paroled when these folks had their highest battery life. And as they grew tired, we're the same way, right? How many of you get hangry and things, you may not be on your best, your most sharpest, most focused self to get things done. And so that's one of the things we have to pay attention to. Yes, ma'am.
I think it comes down to how important is your reason? Why are you doing what you're doing? Because if it's important enough, we'll plan. So like you mentioned, being hangry, it's so true. If I'm hungry, I'm distracted. So if I plan in advance to know that, hey, if I'm going to sit here and I'm going to be in my office, I need to have that prepared before I start so that I don't have to, leave my desk. I can continue to make my calls. I can have a drink. I can have something to eat so that I can get my one thing done or whatever to accomplish your goals. So we need to plan also.
So you're planning and preparing for your battery to be recharged. And it could even be, where you're making sure you have your lunch, you're making sure you have what you do so you don't have to leave and come back. And then you are able to replenish your energy, whether that's, even I see sometimes Chris Day and Dolores walk around the building, during the day, and they are recharging themselves from being focused for so long on the tasks that they're doing. And that's a way for them to refresh and to get their energy back up for what they've got to do next. And so we need to do that and recognize it. And so I love that you know yourself to know that I've got to have that, or I'm not going to be able to power through and build up my energy. So we'll talk about bunkering too later on, and that helps. So they got 2 breaks, and so it did impact that. They were able to re-energize themselves. The parole officers were, but it still impacted the folks that were on the docket, right, to get there. So what taxes your willpower? Well, here's some list of things. Implementing new behaviors like the 66-day challenge, right? When you're implementing a new habit, filtering distractions, resisting temptation, like the marshmallow or the cake, suppressing emotion, retaining aggression, suppressing impulses, taking tests, trying to impress others, coping with fear, doing something you don't enjoy, selecting long-term over short-term rewards. Interesting. So that's like the, do you want $10 now or $1,000 later? And going the distance, those things tax your willpower.
I think
so all
we talked about, one of the things that we talked about when you and I met on Wednesday is I had something that was so bothersome to me that it took over my day. And it was really hard to suppress the emotions and the situation to focus on what I really needed to do. So even though, yes, I felt like I needed to take care of it, it could have waited.
Well,
So
but I saw that. I saw that you I mean you were it was all the feelings, and it was something that was bothersome, and it was out there and nagging at you. And so it was hard to get past that in the moment, right? But and you knew that about yourself.
yeah, oh yeah. I admitted it. That's true. I did admit that
Yeah,
I was struggling. And I think sometimes it's okay to do that. We can't do it all the time.
right, right. It can't be an everyday occurrence of what's going on, because it did take you off of what, it took you off your day, which also bothered you because you are working at that and being purposeful and being focused. And so you were torn because you had such strong emotions around the thing and it was also bothering you that you knew it was taking you off your focus at the same time. But it also says suppressing emotion taxes your willpower as well, right? So restraining aggression, suppressing impulses. So you're not really impulsive though. I didn't see that your work at what you're doing and being diligent and focused on the things and tracking the things that you're doing. And that as you get that muscle working makes you tired. And then once you get the momentum, remember when we know we created a habit is when you don't do it, it feels unusual or weird. So that's the thing. It says to do your most important work early. The thing that's whatever is your one thing, and usually it's lead gen. Usually that's the thing that, like, doing something you don't enjoy taxes your willpower. So you may have, you may need to get that done early, just like the parole officers. You're going to do your very best at the very front end. And as you get tired, it's not going to happen. So if you replace it, you have it in your calendar and something else comes in that you would rather do, then you're not going to have the willpower on will call later on to do your thing. Because in bold it says if you erase it, you have to replace it in your calendar if it's lead gen. And how many times do we do that because we don't enjoy doing it and we want to slough it off, and then at the end of the day we're tired and we're like, you know what, I'll just do better tomorrow. And then the next day is I'll just do better the next day. And then when do we do it?
Well, I'll be honest, if I don't get it done in the morning, and I am so time blocked in the morning, and it's been a very intentional thing because I really am a night owl. So I am trying to reprogram myself so that I get these things done in the morning, because it is so important. But I've also heard that, okay, if I'm going to do that, I probably need a 10 or 15 minute break. So do it in either 30 or 45-minute increments, get up and get away. So it's like a cat nap, get up and recharge, come back for your next 45 minutes or whatever your break time is.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And say, that's what he said, don't spread your willpower too thin, monitor your fuel gauge. So that's kind of what you're doing is you, and then you're trying to give yourself that full tank to get started. Don't let what matters most be compromised simply because your brain was under fueled. Eat right and regularly, right? And then time your task. Do that the first part of the day. It all sounds great, and it so makes sense that that we can't just have our willpower on will call and that we get in our own way. But I think when you realize it, you notice yourself pushing things off to do later, and then procrastinating and then not getting it done because you're tired.
Yeah, if I don't see my morning, my lead gen, by the afternoon, I don't generally sit down. I feel like there's other things to get done. So it's hard for me to replace it. So when I am off my calendar, so if I have a closing and it's happened and I'm like, oh, because I know me and I know that if I am taken away from what I need to do Monday through Friday in the mornings, it is hard for me to replace it in the afternoon. It's very, very hard for me to do that.
When you have other things that you're doing personally, you have a personal world going on too that requires things for you to get done. So what's the one thing there? And then how do you manage all of those? And welcome, Polani. I see you down there. So I think that being prepared, this is the thing is we, as you have to give yourself grace at some point on some days, but you just don't want to be that that fly by your seat disaster every single day. Okay. Because there's some of us that are going to eat that marshmallow. They don't really care about the one coming. I need my instant gratification now. And so also when you're structure, if your personality is not that way, sometimes that drains your battery also. So some of us are fighting different battles when it comes to willpower, right? Just like these kids that were able to hold on and wait versus those that didn't. And that's just how we're wired. And we could work on it, right? We could be better. Kalani, you have anything to add about willpower not always being on will call, that we can't just summons up what we need to get, what we need, our energy and our focus at any given time?
It reminds me of a book that I read that's very much, the entire book is on willpower. It's the will to do what you need to do versus the I won't do, and how to grow your willpower, so to speak. And part of it is definitely what I've read in this chapter about that. Sorry, I had a doctor's appointment this morning, so 7:30, bright and early.
That is early for doctors, yes.
So, but
you can
part
grow
of
your
it is,
willpower.
well, I mean, I made that appointment at 7:30, so I would actually take care of the issue, right? Who likes to go to the doctor? I don't.
Mm-mm.
So it's off my plate now.
It was your one thing right now around your health, right? So you got it done.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, and it also takes willpower for me to go because I don't care to go to the hospital, right? Nobody does.
Mm-mm.
So if I get it done in the beginning of the day, then now I can focus on something else that I absolutely.
Yeah, because you never know what you're going to get when you go, how long you're going to be there, and then it could be the whole entire day. Especially if you go later in the day.
The top of page 71, I think, sums it up. When it comes to willpower, timing is everything.
Yes.
I just-
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So those of you that got your 66-day challenge sheet, how does the item on your list look for your willpower when you are going to get it done? How does it show up? How are you putting it in your day? And if you are a person like me who is not the morning-ish person, totally, like I'm probably better than others maybe, but not really a superstar. I'm just not. It's just it's harder. And you heard Adrienne say she's a night owl, so there's some of us that have that component going. How do we change the habit? And Adrienne, I love that you said you're working on shifting that, because that's probably a habit as well, right? A lot of the things that we do. And how do we get better at those things to be able to get our willpower to do the thing we have to do?
If somebody could help me figure out how I can be good with just 5 or 6 hours of sleep, then I can stay up late and I can get up early. So that's my goal.
Yes. Well, you know what? I think that sometimes that's how we're wired. Like, for instance, I mean, Dolly Parton is an amazing human being with all the things that she does. And I've read that she only requires 4 hours of sleep. That's not me. No, I would be not good, not for long anyway. And my uncle was that way as well. And he would take a cat nap all day. Like, he could do 15-minute little rewires. And that's not how I'm wired either. And get things done. So it is, I don't know the answer to that one, Adrienne, because I think
got one for you.
Okay.
So if you read or know anything about transcendental meditation, it actually puts your mind in a state that is very similar to deep sleep and will recharge you. So if you go back and you look, people like Seinfeld, I think you can find a interview with him where he talks about it, and he does it in the morning and mid-afternoon. And the mid-afternoon one gets him more energy to do like what we're talking about, the hard things.
I love it.
There's-
Okay, so that's you do have the answer to that, and I think that's probably something you have to do time on task over time to learn how to put yourself into that meditation. Is that right?
That is correct. It's actually scientifically backed, and how I learned about it was in the military, right? Doing a lot of human performance work.
Yes.
And so they have documented like brainwave analysis and studies and all that interesting stuff that goes with the actual practice. But it's called transcendental meditation. Look into it. It may actually help you if you are having issues with concentration and just dealing with things, getting your mind and body rested in a
I love
short period
that.
amount of time is awesome. So
Okay. Well, I mean, as an older person, as I have seen myself through time, the sleep component part of that is more difficult. Turning my mind off, getting some rest, feeling like I actually had rest. So that maybe that sounds like something that would be a good resource to work on that if that's keeping your willpower low. Now, one thing I loved about that I've heard about Seinfeld is as well as Jack Canfield and John Maxwell and John Williams, those that have really like hit that domino over and over and made the domino run for themselves, is that one thing that I know about Seinfeld is he wrote a joke a day. So imagine his 66-day challenge piece of paper with hash marks on it, right? That he would write something every single day. And now it may not be fabulous, but his goal was to create something every day. And that's how he had breakthrough, because the great came out of doing that work. So, and then the same thing with John Williams, the great composer, wrote some sort of music composition every single day. And out of that came the amazing. So I appreciate you giving us that piece. Adrian and I need to check out that meditation piece for us to be able to tackle those challenges that we have with either staying up late or getting up early or even having that rest.
I
So
mean,
I love that.
they actually brought in the teachers and the folks who are, because it is actually taught in a specific way. They brought them into the National Defense University as part of the incoming classes to help with, folks who were interested in it. And then you're dealing with a lot of folks at that particular point in their lives have been through a lot of potentially, war zones. Let's put it that way, because that's
Right,
really
right.
what it came down to. So, and it helped with many of them getting back into that relaxation and dealing with things. So,
And you find that that's helped you with other areas of life.
yes, it has. I have chronic pain, so it definitely helps, because that's one of those things that, if you're constantly dealing with something, your mind, it just zaps your willpower.
Oh, yes. And then that's something that probably just hits you in different times than you're not expecting. And you think you're going to be purposeful on something, but that's not what happens.
Exactly. And so to get back into that purposeful mind state,
Mhm.
taking that break and doing perhaps, a TM practice, that would be, well, I can recommend it. I definitely would agree with what they do. And you'll find that there are a lot of high performing people that actually do it.
Okay. Well,
I
what?
think
Thank
taking
you.
care of our personal health is a reflection on how well we do in our business. Because if we take care of ourselves first, I mean, because I've got, bad back, and, if I sit too long, I start hurting, which is a distraction. But if I know the things I need to do to take care of my health, then I'm better prepared to tackle my professional goals.
Absolutely. And those can be small things, and just one habit creation can make a ripple effect in all the other areas of your world, for sure. So I believe that all of us, as we go through this, are going to be better at the end, and we're gonna just create some great places in our business because of our focus on that. And thank you, Palani, for giving us that information about the meditation. Definitely a very great nugget. And it's time to move on with the rest of our week. I hope you are purposeful and look through your calendar as well as I am going to do, and be able to recognize that you've got to get your main things done when your battery is the highest and taking care of yourself. So let's go get it, guys. And thank you for jumping on here. I appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.